All right, government contractors, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about set-aside contracts for small businesses. I want to break them down to you, show you the purpose and why you as a business need to consider set-aside contracts. So let's get straight into it. So the federal government is the largest buyer of goods in the world. They buy billions and billions of dollars of goods and services every single year from American businesses. A large set of these contracts that the government award is set for small businesses. So we're talking about small businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and so on. So why is this important? Because with these set-aside contracts, you are able to grow your business, get access to government resources, and compete for very good contracts that otherwise you would not be able to compete for as a small business. Big corporations would probably crush you. So it's a really good initiative from the government to give small businesses the space to actually compete, win contracts, and it's good for them, good for the economy, and good for you as a small business. So what are government set-asides? So these are federal contracts reserved specifically for specified groups like small, veteran-owned, and minority-owned businesses, as I've mentioned. The purpose is to ensure fair access to federal government contracts and fair competition, and promote economic equity for small businesses or minority-owned businesses. Businesses can access contracts that they might otherwise not be able to compete, because if they had to compete with large corporations, they would not do well, because these corporations, obviously, they have a lot more money, they have more headcount, they just have a lot more resources. They'll probably be able to give better prices. So when the government says, okay, this is set aside for small businesses, you're only competing with other small businesses. So this way it's fair and gives small businesses the chances to actually work with the government and win contracts. Now, I'm going to show you major federal set-aside programs, and hopefully after this, you'll be able to see which one is best for your business. And I'm going to share with you tools that will help you understand and decide on which set-aside programs are best for you. So the first one, and this one is probably most of you watching will be eligible for, which is the Small Business Set-Aside Program, more known as FAR 19.5. So these are contracts. When we talk about contracts for small businesses, anything between $10,000 and $250,000, agencies are forced to make these contracts set aside for small businesses. So these businesses that are small business, obviously there are requirements to what makes you a small business, and I'm going to share a tool with you that will help you understand if you're a small business or not. Any contract that you apply for that's between $10,000 and $250,000, it has to be for small businesses. So this is a great opportunity, because $250,000 for a small business like mine or yours is a huge deal, but probably for a big corporation, it's not a lot. So what are the requirements? You have to be registered on SAM.gov, and you have to be compliant with the NAICS size standard. How do you know you're compliant? I'm going to share this with you in the comments. There's a SBA size tool online. It's super easy and simple. So you can go to this calculator. It's very simple. It's called Size Standard Tool. And you go and answer the questions to see if you qualify as a small business for government contracting purposes. You just type in your NAICS code. I have a lot of videos on NAICS code, but you type in, for example, your NAICS code. Let's say I focus on sign manufacturing. Then you search. You put in how many employees you have. So let's say just me and my co-founder. And then here it would tell you, okay, you are eligible to be a small business, government contracting business. So that's good. It's pretty simple and straightforward. I'll have a link for it in the description. Now, the next one, this one, there was a lot of chat and talk about this with the Trump presidency, 8A Business Development Program. So this one is developed, like initially it was for Indian-owned businesses, but now it's for socially and economically disadvantaged small businesses. They get access to sole source contracts up to $4.5 million. And if you're in manufacturing, it gets up to $7 million. And you get mentoring and training. And then once you graduate from the program, you could also potentially win other sole source contracts. Now, what is sole source contract? It means that the agency, without competition, elected you to win a contract. So this way you're not going through the bidding process, but also getting into the 8A program is not as easy or simple as you might think. It's a process that is difficult, but once you're in the program, it has a lot of advantages. As I've said, mentoring, training, and also access to sole source contracts, which is awesome. It's amazing. So what are the requirements? You have to be 51% owned by disadvantaged U.S. citizen. Obviously, this is more defined. If you type in 8A on Google, you'll get more details about the requirements. You have to have a business potential and good character. and you have to have the business established for 2 years. But honestly, I think the 8A program has so many advantages that it's worth going through the challenge of getting 8A certified because it's going to be very well for your business. Now we move on to veteran and women-owned small businesses, and these ones are more specific. You have to be a woman-owned business, obviously, or a veteran-owned business. So veteran-owned businesses, they have to be owned and controlled like 51% at least by service-disabled veterans. And then they have to be managed also by veterans. And then you have to apply for this certificate. But the good thing about this is if you are looking at, let's say, the VA, or if you're doing DoD contracts, they will have a lot more contracts for veteran-owned businesses. So if you qualify for this, it's highly important that you get the certificate. It's a very good program for veterans and disabled veterans. Now, for women-owned businesses, it means that you have to be 51% owned by a small business. And then you have to get the certification through SBA. You will find the details on the SBA website, and you get opportunities in kind of industries with low female representation or presence. Now we get to the final program, which is the HUBZone program. And this is location based. So it's really based on your location. And the aim of this program is to stimulate business growth in underutilized business zones where there's not a lot of business activity or the economic standard is less than the average. The goal of it is just to foster growth and regional development for small businesses in that area. So you have to be located in a designated hub zone, and 35% of the employees or people working in the business, they have to be also in a hub zone area. And you have to be SBA certified. You can go on SBA website and get more details on that. So to know if your location is within a hub zone, there's an SBA hub zone map, which will make it easy for you, as you can see here, to see if you are in a hub zone region or not. So it makes it very easy. You can type in your address and it will tell you if you're in a hub zone or not. So I'll also leave a link for this hub zone in the description, hub zone map. Now, how do you get started with federal contracts given that you are most likely eligible for these programs? One, you have to register on SAM.gov. That's the first step. Then you apply for certifications. As we said, they will help you very, very much, especially as a small business. If you qualify as a woman small business, that's even better. Veteran-owned businesses, 8A, HUBZone. If you qualify for any of these, make sure you get them. They will just open up more doors for you. Then you want to start to get into federal government contracting. You could start off by subcontracting to gain more experience and to get more past performances. And then even before, you can start responding to sources sought, especially if you have these certifications. Start early in the process. Start when they release sources sought, not when it becomes a solicitation. This way, you get your foot ahead. You get your foot in the door. You get ahead of the competition, and you help agencies determine whether a contract should be set aside or not. So they might think, like, if you find a good opportunity that's a sources sought, they might think that a small business might not be able to do it. But if you get in early, you can help shape up the solicitation, show them that me as a small business, I can do this. This is how you should do it, X, Y, Z. They would have more faith in releasing it, for example, as a small business set aside. Obviously, this is just an example, but respond to sources sought is what I would advise any business getting into federal government contracting. Now, if you want to streamline and make finding government contracts, especially if you have set aside and you're serious about government contracting, use SAM Search to find government contracts across federal, state, local, and education. You'll be able to access hundreds of thousands of government contracts. You get notified about new contracts matching your business. You get to chat with the government contracts so you can easily understand them without having to read a bunch of documents. And you also will be able to help draft proposals for you so you don't have to go through that struggle. SAMsearch.co is the easiest way to utilize AI in government contracting and get ahead of the competition and save a lot of time and a lot of effort so you could win your government contract and build a successful federal government contracting business. So now, what are the key takeaways and next steps? There are 5 major set-aside programs. By default, I think you probably are eligible for one of these. So make sure you get your certificates and you get into these programs if you're eligible. If you're not registered in SAM.gov, I don't know what you're waiting for. Get registered, get certified, find subcontracting opportunities, respond to sources sought. And by far the best tool to do that is SAM Search. It will help you find government contracts and win government contracts faster and easier. Thank you so much for watching, and get your certificates and get registered on SAM.gov and get SAM Search. That's it. Bye-bye.